So I'm at the airport again. I'm headed to Kansas. It's also very quiet in here. This is the Admiral Club for all the fancy travelers. I'm not that fancy at all, but I'm fortunate that the guy that's bringing me on this trip, he's not fancy either. He's a very humble guy, but he flies a lot. Have you spoken Kansas before?
I have not spoken to Kansas before.
It's first time?
First time.
Oh.
Fired up to be there. Amazing superintendents, amazing principals, working hard for kids. I'm also excited to challenge them, to create the schools our kids need moving forward. Can't wait.
So this guy right here, he flies a ton, way more than I do. And it's your fault I'm not spoiled because he was so gracious to let me sit first class. And that's pretty awesome.
That's what friends do.
It is. What a guy, what a guy. But now if I never can fly other than first class, it's all your fault. So. Wichita. Wichita, are you ready?
Let's roll, Wichita.
It's a very quiet airport right now. So we've arrived here in Wichita, Kansas. My first time actually settling down in Kansas. I don't count a place until I've actually slept there and had a meal there. So this is my first, I guess, official trip to the beautiful state of Kansas. Real quick hotel room tour. Bed number 1. Bed 2. Office. Entertainment. Huge TV actually. Water. $3 Aquafina. Okay, now we are talking. Bathroom. And that concludes the most boring hotel room tour you've ever seen.
Scott.
I'm
Hi,
Scott. Nice
Scott.
to meet you.
Nice meeting you.
Bring him along.
Well, you bet. You bet. The more the merrier.
What's in the beautiful state of Kansas here? What do we got? Did he say it's all this way?
That's what I'm trying to
I think he said it's this way. Just after 8 p.m., headed out to a beautiful Kansas dinner. And I think we're the only people out right now. Monday night in Wichita, it's a little bit slow.
Can't wait for all 3 cars to pass.
Yeah, that was rush hour. There's that awkward vlog transition when you go from being somewhere to suddenly being done with it, but what a fantastic dinner. So I'm really excited to be out here in Wichita, Kansas. It's a place I've never been, but more importantly, it's with a brand new client and a brand new personal brand really that we're working with. There's a great friend of mine that I've actually known, but not from a client perspective, and he speaks around the nation for education. Something that I'm growing to be more excited about because of the fact that I now have kids, and when you have kids, your perspective on things changes. But he speaks, and he's a tremendous speaker, speaks all around the country, and he wanted to create more content for Instagram, for LinkedIn, for all his social networks. He already has a good following of what he's doing, but he wanted to create more content. And because he had seen me doing lots of content over the years and seen me produce lots of videos, he reached out to me and wanted to talk about how we could possibly do that. And I'm just excited to help with this. This is something that I think I know really well. I'm fired up to be here. I'm excited for what we're doing together. Excited to kind of do this first session with him today. This event's just over 1,000 people, and it's just gonna be great. Got a little time lapse going here with the GH5. Gonna capture that sunset that's coming up. And of course, naturally, totally digging that hyperlapse feature on the Mavic 2 Pro. It is just awesome. Some of the shots you can get that just were unthinkable, and the fact that you just set it up and start to ride, oh man, it's awesome. Totally digging. That was a 2-second interval time lapse, and then the camera one was 8 seconds. For the conference here, how are we feeling?
Ready to roll. Got the opportunity to talk to about 1,000 people this morning. Excited to inspire them, encourage them, challenge them, but ultimately to remember why we do what we do.
Session went awesome. Tom killed it. It's cool being able to see people do what they do well and help capture it and then retell it through video and storytelling. It's great. Short little trip. Headed back to the airport now.
One of my biggest speaking things that I try to do.
So as I mentioned, I am in Kansas. Well, we are headed home now, but I wanted to at least introduce you to Tom. Tom has been an educator and in the education field for a long time. I got a chance to hear his session for the first time today, did an outstanding job. What's kind of the main thing that you talk about for the people that don't know who you are? Like what's your big pitch? What's your kind of issues you see happening in education in general from an educator standpoint?
Hey everybody, Tom Murray here. You know, one of the things that I talk to people around the country is how do we transform schools to be the type of learning environments today's kids need? With today's Netflix generation of kids, how do we stay relevant to their world and the work? And how do we use the things that we've known over time, those things that actually work in the classroom, things such as relationships. It was vital 50 years ago, 50 years from now it'll be absolutely vital as well. To create the environments where kids absolutely need. How do we train the teachers to do that? What does the environment itself look like? So I work often with school and district leaders to support their work in transforming today's schools for what our kids need.
Yeah, I mean, I talk all the time about how it doesn't matter what industry you're in. I don't care what technology is doing to replace humans. Technology, from a robot standpoint especially, can never have a relationship the way that people do. And the one way that you can make sure that your job is safer than you may feel like it is to be a person that actually is enjoyable to work with. Because you'll win every time in anything you do if people think of you because you're easy to work with. Like that's like just the easiest way to get business.
Well, like so many businesses, especially in education, it's all about the human element. You know, it's not about the teacher that knows the most. It's not about the smartest person in the room. It's the person that can relate to kids. That person that makes a kid feel like they can do anything. And so education has always been and will always be the human aspect of things first and foremost. You know, the old adage is a kid doesn't care what you know until they know that you care. And so how do we create environments where kids feel safe and loved and cared for? And the content is a conduit to help them become better for life and more prepared for that.
Very cool. So yeah, I'm excited to be working with Tom, just create a lot of content for him. You can check out his Twitter stuff. I'll put it all in the description below. His Twitter, Instagram, all that. We got a chance to do a little content earlier today, and we're going to do a lot more. But I love it. I love the idea of educating. That's why I do this channel, so I can appreciate people that also are educating our kids. As someone that has kids now, this is super important. So Tom, it's awesome.
So glad to be here. Good hanging out.
Headed back home. Short trip, about 15 hours on the ground. We're headed back home.
See you soon.
So the beauty of short flights is that you're in and out. The downfall of short flights is that you feel like you never really get a chance to actually explore the city you're in. So there's pros and cons, but I'm excited to be home. Flew out yesterday at about 1 p.m., back home about 9 p.m.